There are so many exciting and fun things you can find at Dollar Tree every single day, and I love these wood bead rings. They are so versatile. You can use just like this, or you can open them up like I'm going to do today, and I'm going to take all the beads and use them for 4 crafts. So one bead ring for 4 crafts. Let's get to it. This craft, we're going to start with a piece of cardboard. This is just one I had on hand, and it's on the thicker side, which I love. I'm going to start measuring, marking, and cutting as needed. You can do it any size you want, my friends. I'm just choosing to do this size. So I'm just going to mark again and cut as needed. And then I'm going to angle cut the corners at the top because we're creating a tag. So I'm just going to angle cut them in the same angle and then have a tag shape. All right, so then we're going to add Mod Podge all on the top surface. Once I have a nice layer, I'm going to put it to the side to let it dry because we're going to do the iron-on technique and you want it to be nice and dry. Now I am going to use a craft paper, but you can use any paper, any wrapping paper, whatever you want. You can even paint the tag if you want. This little snowman sticker I created and designed, and I'm going to use it on top of it. So here I'm just kind of dry fitting to see which background I like best, and I went with this one here. Once the Mod Podge was dry, I'm going to set it on top, and then with parchment paper, I'm just going to iron it on, and it's going to stick so good, my friends, so good. Once attached, we are going to cut off the excess paper from the sides, and then we're just going to lightly sand the edges going downwards. This is going to distress those edges just a little bit and also smooth them out and remove excess paper. We're going to place the little snowman sticker right over it, and then we are going to start distressing it even more by antiquing the ends. And we're just going to add the antiquing wax by Waverly. And I'm just going to keep adding and adding until I kind of like what I see. This is optional, of course. If you don't like that look, you don't have to. I'm also going to add it around the edge of the snowman to kind of blend everything in and then make it look nice and vintage style. All right, so once I have that, we're going to poke a hole at the top because this is a tag and I want to be able to hang it. So I'm just going to use my screwdrivers and I'm just going to poke it in. That's it. I'm going to thread some of this rope from Dollar Tree and I'm just going to tie it in a knot at the top and then tie it again in a knot even further up. And this is how we can hang this piece on the wall. Of course, you can use anything else you want. I want to add some of the beads from earlier and I'm just going to hang them on a little piece of jute string. So I'm just going to add the jute string through the knot and just tie it. And this is where we can just hang kind of like 2 strings of beads. And I'm going to add, I believe it was 7 in each. Of course, you can add whatever amount you want. I just kind of like saw what I wanted based on the size of the tag that I had. So I'm just going to do 2 of them tied in the knot. And I want one of them to hang just a little lower than the other one. Again, this is just preference. You can do whatever style you want. Once they're attached, we're going to add some greenery. This is from Dollar Tree. We're just going to add a couple on each side. And then we're going to keep adding some red ones and some other things. And we're going to finish it up with a bow. Now, the bow is optional. You can add a flower. You can add more greenery, whatever you want, of course. But the bow I'm going to make with this ribbon from At Home. It has a gorgeous finish. And I think the color really complements it. So I'm just going to hot glue a piece to itself and we're going to scrunch it in the middle to create that bow look. Then we're going to take another piece of the ribbon. We're going to fold it into a thinner piece and we're just going to wrap it in the middle. This is just going to hide that jute string and just make it nice and finished. Then I'm going to fluff it as needed and we're going to attach it to the top with hot glue and just kind of hold it until it hardens and that's it. What a fun piece. Oh my word. I love the beads hanging. I love the little snowman, the overall vintage look. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Christmas craft, we're going to start with this piece of fabric. Now, these are from Hobby Lobby. They were $1.50. I don't remember if it had a percentage off, but it's a little bigger than the rolls you can find at Dollar Tree, and I love the designs that it had. I ironed on just a piece that it had on the corner, and then we're just going to fold it so that the back of the fabric is facing forward. Then I'm going to freehand what will look like a little tree. It's not going to look nice all written, but you're not going to see this. I just wanted to make sure I had the sides that I wanted and the angles. Then once I had a design, I'm just going to cut off the excess fabric from the sides, cutting both pieces of the fabric, the top and the bottom, because I want them to mirror each other and have the same exact size and shape. Once it was cut, then we're going to flip them back to the original side, and then we're going to hot glue the edges. This is good. We're creating a little plush tree. Now add very little hot glue. I'm using my finger protector because it does ooze a little bit. But once I have them hot glued, I'm not going to hot glue the end, the base of it, because that's where we're going to add some pillow stuffing. I usually have a pillow from Walmart. They sell them for about $3, $4, a huge pillow. And I just keep taking pillow stuffing from there as needed. It's a great thing to have in your craft room, especially if you want to have them for pillow making or little crafts like this. All right, so I'm just going to start stuffing it. I'm going to do it little by little with my scissors. I'm just going to keep kind of pressing in onto each corner. And then once I had it all where I wanted, I'm going to add glue to the base, but I'm going to leave the center open because we're going to add this tree onto a little skewer stick. I want to add something to the top or the middle of the tree. So I'm going to rip a little piece from this drop cloth because I love that ripped look. And I'm just going to cut it to the size that I need and then trim later a little bit as needed. These little stamps came from Amazon. I love that it has the uppercase and lowercase. I'm going to have them linked in the description box if it interests you to get them. I'm going to spell the word joy. And I'm just going to then cut off the excess from each side. Just kind of make it the size that I want. And then hot glue it onto the center. Just so cute. All right, so now we're going to insert the tree onto the skewer stick. Now this came originally with another piece. I'm going to remove the thicker part because I want to be able to thread the beads onto it. So once I had it cut, I hammered it down and I drilled a hole right through the center, added hot glue, and I'm going to add that skewer stick because it's a little thinner. Once I had it where I wanted, I'm just going to stain the base with the antiquing wax. You can also paint it. I contemplated painting it green, but then I changed my mind. I'm just going to use the antiquing wax. All right, so now we're going to thread the beads. You can add as many or as little as you want. I believe I added 5 if I'm remembering correctly. And then we're just going to cut off the excess, insert it in the side, a little hole that we left at the bottom, and then add hot glue and then insert it and just kind of hold it until it hardens. So cute. I'm going to add greenery to the base of the tree. I'm just going to add a couple to each side, and then keeping it simple, we're just going to add a frosted berry right in the center, and that is it, my friends. What a fun craft. Any fabric you have is fine. Love this one, but what do you think? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take this wood slice. I am going to drill a hole at the top, and with the leftover craft paper from before, I'm going to cut a piece that's about 1 inch thick and more of that drop cloth. I'm just going to rip it. Again, I like that frayed look. I'm going to curve cut the ends so that it matches the size or like the shape of the wood slice because I still want to see that bark on the end. Once I had the size and the shape that I wanted, I'm just going to hot glue it to the center of what will be an ornament. Then I'm going to place the leftover piece of craft paper. I'm going to round those edges again so that it matches the shape of the slice. I'm going to hot glue it right there to the center. I am then going to take a marker. This is just going to be a regular marker, and I'm going to spell the word joy again. And I'm just going to do one letter at a time, but I start it in the center so that everything's nice and centered. I'm going to thread some jute string through a little hole. I'm going to make a knot, and then we're going to thread some of those beads. Again, use as many as you want. I'm just going to thread, I think, about 5 or 6 on each side, and then I am going to just tie it in the knot. And I did add a little bit of hot glue on the knot because that's going to allow it to be able to hold nice and strong. And then I'm going to add some greenery picks to the base of the beads. This is just going to add texture and color, and then one of those little frosted berries right there in the center. Such an easy craft. Oh my word, so pretty. And I think it goes well like a set. All these crafts are going to look like they belong together. But what do you think of this one? Let me know down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to start with one of Dollar Tree's stencils. I love that stencil in this burlap ribbon. Now, this ribbon is from burlapfabric.com. You can also use regular fabric or any other ribbon you have. I am going to cut pieces of it because I want to spell the word Merry Christmas and create a fun little rustic banner. Once I had all the pieces, I'm going to stack a few of them together, and I'm going to just kind of dovetail cut that bottom to make it look like little banner flags. Now, I made this size of flags because of the size of the stencil that I had. You can make it larger or smaller. It's up to you. I'm going to use antiquing wax to be able to stencil the letters. However, looking back, I wish I would have done like a red. I think it would look so much more festive and Christmassy, but I think this looks really cute and vintage. All right, so I'm going to speed it up quite a bit because it's repetitive, but I'm going to spell the word or the phrase Merry Christmas. So I started with Mary, of course, so I don't want to miss any letters. And then once I had them completely stenciled, you want to give it a few minutes. It doesn't take long to dry out. All right, so of course we want to thread these onto jute string. Now I do have these little needle, they're stitching needles. They have a big eyelet, and I'm just going to thread the jute string through it. It makes it so much easier. And I'm going to start with the Mary, but I'm going to start with the Y. I want to start at the end and work my way to the front of the word. And in between each little flag, I'm going to add one of those beads, of course, because wow, one bead ring can give us all these crafts, which I think is such a good deal for $1.50. But I think actually these are still $1.25. Anywho, we're just going to keep doing this. And again, we're just going to speed it up for you because it's quite repetitive, but I want you to see the whole process. All right, so I moved on to the Christmas portion of the banner. Now the Mary is going to be on top, and then I added a whole different jute string to do the Christmas. And look how cute this looks. Oh my word, guys. You can put this on a mantle, on a wall, at a party in your home, whatever you want. What do you think of this one? Let me know down in the comments. I have another video here for you with tons more of Dollar Tree DIY crafts inspiration. Check it out. I'll see you later and have a blessed day. Bye.